Okay, hello everyone. Just checking the mic here, making sure everything's good before we go live. And I'm going to switch the webcam over here. There we go. How are we all doing? It's like what people in the chat already. We've got the usual people. Let me just make sure that chat is set to live chat, all message visible, rather than top chat. I suggest you guys do the same if you haven't already. Excellent. So we've got a Gold Banker. Good to see you. Batman. Good to see you. LVK, thanks for being here. Winds of Change. We've got a Slumbering Star King. You're new. Welcome. Hello. I see it now. Good to see you. Amelia, thanks for being here. Desert Trance, always good to see you. Gareth, Stubidazzle. Thanks for being here. And we've got Winds of Change, yep. And Hedadek Nizar. I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you very much. Me, well, I tell a lie. I'm very stressed. Me and my wife have just spent the past 2 hours trying to get our 20-month-old toddler to fall asleep. He's just started climbing out of the crib, so we've been battling with him. We finally, as of 10 minutes ago, just got him into a solid sleep, and I've just managed to get on to this live stream, which I had obviously scheduled for 9. Um, so unfortunately, I'm winging this one. I know roughly what I'm going to talk about, but I do not have my tabs ready. So I'm going to have to do this on the fly. I'm going to do it live. I'm going to do it on the go. And we're going to talk about the elongated skulls found all around the world and the practice of headboarding, of manipulating the shape of infants' heads. And why people do this, basically. Because I have been just bombarded lately for some reason on Facebook mainly with just random little posts sharing some cool ancient history facts or just cool facts about culture and society. And it shows a picture of a mother and a child with these long skulls, and this baby has bandages wrapped around its head. And it's kind of like saying, did you know that cultures all around the world are practice elongating their skulls in order to, I don't know, attract partners as a beauty standard or something? And I'm looking at it and it's like, so you're just not going to mention, you're just going to breeze over the Nephilim, are you? You're not going to mention that at all, you know? There's a lot of corruption with these stories, I find. A lot of lies, a lot of misinformation being pushed on these things right now. So I want to talk about it, and we'll go through what you can find out there about these type of things. But yeah, that's what they come under. Yeah, cool facts, stupid as. They come under something like, did you know type of thing. And it's just nonsense. Honestly, absolutely. Like, I'll show you guys in a minute. I got a few images I can bring up, which I've been sharing with the Telegram chat I have going, which I suggest you guys join. By the way, links down below. I talk about all sorts of stuff before it even reaches videos. Um, I shared my most recent video actually. If you guys haven't seen it, obviously is about the NPCs, isn't it? Me saying basically I was wrong about what I said about the NPCs. And if you don't know, about 2 weeks ago I made a video basically saying, listen guys, I understand it's fun to call these people NPCs, but we need to be careful with our language because they are human beings at the end of the day. They're not fake people, you know. They're all just people at different levels of being awake. And we need to be careful with our language because some people out there will take it very seriously and people could get hurt, you know. They could do something stupid and we have to be weary of that. We don't want to get caught in a trap where we're responsible for people getting hurt because then we're just giving them ammunition to kind of use against us. So we should be careful, you know. And then 2 weeks later, after making that video, YouTube is just full of content creators commenting on this latest TikTok trend where people are literally acting like computer generated characters. And is I just after I saw all this, I just couldn't help but think like, oh god, they don't make it easy. Why are they not making it easy to like them? I defended these people and they're just acting purposefully like it now. It's kind of, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they truly are just empty vessel, non-player character programs within the system that just have no inner monologue or train of thought whatsoever. They have nothing. They just literally just programmed bots. Maybe I was wrong. Um, And for some reason, that video got me a lot of random little hate comments as well. It's really weird just talking about that subject. A lot of people don't like that I'm British. I've noticed. I get a lot of comments saying, I hate the British people. One guy said, I hate the hubris of the English. And it's like, what did I say? Was it something I said? I don't. Where did that come from? I suppose when you make a video that goes popular really quick, it gets to people who don't necessarily understand what I'm on about or why I'm talking about something. I guess you just get that kind of stuff. Um, so what have we got here? I've got a winds of change. Prayers for the four missing people where I live who were swept into water during torrential downpours. Two are children. Please let them be found safe. Well, yeah, we could pray for those children now. That'd be great. But that's horrible. I mean, it's been raining bad here as well today. Actually, we've had just a few minor floods. Nothing major. Nothing like life threatening. That sounds awful. Yeah. So pray for those children. Absolutely. Um, You've got skills, brother. Little ones are a lot of work. Oh, he is pushing his limits right now. I tell you, it's easy when they're in that stage where they can't walk. That's great. Cherish that moment, when they're not walking or moving yet, because that's when it gets easy. Now he's climbing every single thing he can see. He's on the windowsill. He's climbing out of his bed. He's dropping off things. He's jumping off of things, and they look at you before they do it. They give you this look like, and then they do it. Like they want to make sure you've got eye contact with them first before they do this thing is gonna terrify you and annoy you at the same time. And then they laugh about it afterwards. They laugh at you. Like, toddlers are cruel because they have no filter. They just no impulse control, no filter. They are feral animals. I'm pulling my hair out right now, just trying to contend with him. Like, it's fun, but it's also incredibly annoying at the same time. Like, it's hard to explain. What's going on here then? Um, your baby comes first. We don't mind waiting. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I would put my baby first anyway, regardless whether you guys have to wait. No offense to you guys. You guys are great, but yeah, I would always. I would have just postponed the thing until it was done. To be honest. Oh, I've just got an email saying that a reminder on Tuesday that I have a podcast with Mark Steves for My Family Thinks I'm Crazy. So my phone just told me. Yes, if you guys didn't know, I'm actually talking to Mark Steves of the podcast, which is called My Family Thinks I'm Crazy, which is a funny name. I like the sound of it. He heard me talk on Steve Snyder's show, The Recluse, um, and he liked what I did and he invited me on, which is cool. Apparently, this guy books for Sam Tripoli's Tinfoil Hat podcast as well, so who knows where it'll go after that, we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to him on Tuesday. I'm not sure when that will be available for you guys to listen to. I don't think it'll be live. The podcasts I've been doing recently don't seem to be live. They seem to get released maybe a week or two after I record them. Um, Speaking of which, the Sabbath at Midnight's podcast, which I did stream live on my about 2-3 weeks ago on my own channel. That has now gone live on their own podcast platforms. I think it's on every platform you can imagine. They're on there. That seems to be what these podcasters do. They just spread it out to every platform imaginable. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, just random sites everywhere. So if you type in Nephilim look like clowns and Sabbath at midnight, I'm sure I will pop up in a Google search. But I did post a link in the community tab for you guys to get straight to the Spotify version of that. So that should be there for you guys to listen to. I find that in podcast form, I kind of have to in about an hour and a half or 2 hours summarize everything into this condensed pocket theory, of the Nephilim look like clowns, and obviously I've got like 36 episodes or something, oh, spanning over like 6 years worth of research that I've got to kind of get basically distilled into an hour and a half, and it's been a fun challenge to try and achieve. I've attempted it on Recluse's podcast. I've attempted it on obviously this the Sabbath at Midnight podcast. I'm going to attempt to do it again on this My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. And each time I do it, I always leave thinking, I forgot to mention that thing, that one topic. Like, why didn't I talk about the DMT jesters? Or why didn't I talk about, I don't know, the Royal Order of the Jesters? I forgot to mention the, the secret society element, or there's always something I keep forgetting to mention because there's just too much, which is why I'm writing the book. Obviously, I'm trying to get it all compiled in like a script format. So in the future, when I start doing interviews with people once the book is published, I'm just going to have the book in front of me. I'm just going to go through the chapters one at a time and discuss what each one's about. But until then, I'm kind of just freeballing it. I'm kind of winging it. Saying that though, I do already have the book I'm writing. I do already have all my chapters kind of laid out. So I should have just referred to that, really, shouldn't I? I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, I'm not really a prepare for a performance type of guy. I'm more of a just do it on the spot and hope for the best type of guy. A lot like I'm doing right now. And I've been doing it a lot with these yeah, with these podcasts. But yeah, guys, lots coming up. I also want to talk with Vicky Joy Anderson again. I want to get her on the channel. I think that'd be really nice to just get just get some thoughts together, and yeah, back and forth some ideas. It's just it's good to have somebody on the channel who can just I can bat an idea her way and she'll knock it back and we can have a bit of a back and forth about all sorts with her. So that's something I'm looking forward to booking in again. I'd like to get Vitali back on Alpha Talks. I've been on his channel a couple of times now, and I'd love to have him on mine to talk about his book. I think it's about Paradise Lost. Or looking for the Garden of Eden, basically. I know he's wrote a book about that recently, and he's done a lot of work on the kingdom of Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem, and the floating city, in the North Pole, which I think is quite fascinating to talk about as well. So I'd like to get him on just to have a chat about all that kind of stuff. Maybe he's listening. Maybe he'll hear this and he'll say, "Yeah, cool, let's do it." I don't know, but I'll send him an email either way, and we'll get that organised. Checking the chat now. I've got some more people coming in. What's going on here? Um, cool facts. Yeah. I wonder if having a elongated skull means bigger brain. Well, maybe. I don't know what bigger brain means exactly though in terms of advantages. I do know the elongated skulls, the true ones, the Nephilim elongated skulls, which again we'll show earlier examples and images, and they have more volume than the people who have just squashed their skull. The real ones are actually literally bigger, so something's filling that space. I don't think it's all just liquid. So it would assume that that would give them maybe more intelligence or processing power, but it's possible it also gave them some kind of supernatural abilities to perceive things in ways human beings just simply can't, the natures of reality, the code maybe, and then the ability to maybe psychically manipulate that code, telepathy. It could be, or telekinesis, the ability to move things as well. Perhaps that was extra abilities were given due to the nature of the bigger brain, but I don't know. We're all just speculation. I mean, if these things were the offspring of fallen angels or angels mixing with humans, then without a doubt they would have had some kind of supernatural ability, right? I mean, it goes without saying they would have gained some kind of heavenly, divine, supernatural power, which by nature of their parents being supernatural, divine entities, just above man. So yeah, it probably goes hand in hand. It's probably just a byproduct of it. I do think a lot of these elongated skulls is actually long, thin features are serpent features, reptilian features, and that's why we see these elongated skulls. People always, you'll find through these examples I'll show later, but they always show reconstructions of what these people look like, and it's a very human reconstruction. It's like human features, a human mouth, human nose, human ears, just with a big head. I don't think that's what they actually look like with skin. I think they looked colourful, psychedelic, kind of like a reptile human skin hybrid, very very weird looking, very trippy things. Not human at all. In fact, well, you know what I think? They look like clowns. So let's move on. Um, Always the same story. People all over the world do X and nobody knows why. It's a mystery. Yeah, exactly. We know why, and I hopefully we can go through it all today. Um, Mind Unveiled, just an interesting one I think you'd all enjoy, not far from this topic. Yeah, I do like some of Mind Unveiled's work. I've not watched one of his videos in a while, but I did have a binging session maybe a year ago where I was just listening to everything that guy came out with. Someone got their page taken down for her post about CGIs. Interesting. Halo, it's me again, Margaret. That's okay. Cosmic Dumpster, it's programmed by TV and phones. I used to be a brainless empty vessel, then I got divorced. Heyo. Hi Paul, sorry I haven't responded to your email. I was planning on this weekend, but am really tired and have pain. It's okay, Ian. Don't worry. Take your time. There's no rush. I'll be getting back to you with some info I just found out. RE book donation. Excellent. Okay. But yeah, whenever you can. Obviously, just sit back and enjoy the show. All right. Winds of change. Thank you, Paul. I'll keep you updated. An Anglophile here. I love the sound of all the English accents. Yeah, we have a lot. We have a lot. It's only a 20-minute drive away from me is a completely different accent. And that's anywhere you go in England. Uh, that's so true about them making eye contact. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, toddlers are the worst. They're cheeky. Um, he sounds like a perfect little boy. Time for a brother or sister. We'll see. We're contemplating about it. But after tonight, I don't think either of us are thinking having another child is what we want right now. No. My 3-year-old girl is savage, so much more of a handful than my son. Great. Yeah, I feel like we looked out having a boy. I think my wife wanted a boy as well. She was terrified of having a girl because she says basically girls are just a nightmare. Um, Fingers crossed I get another boy, I guess, if we do have another. Get him something to jump onto without getting hurt, like a mattress. We have fun jumping on it and not getting into too much trouble. We do have a thing. You might be able to see it just poking up there, that green thing there. It's kind of like it's a sofa basically made up of module parts, and you can make it into all sorts of shapes. And he jumps around and plays on that as well. But then he gets bored of that and decides it's more fun to try and climb on top of the baby gate or onto the windowsill and bang the window or something. Or, his little table here, which he eats his food on, decides to try and tip that over and climb through it or under it or push it against the stand and then whack the TV instead. The kid finds ways to entertain himself which are just detrimental to his health and my sanity. But that is just having children. Um, yeah, people seem to like all the child talk there, but yeah, people who know. I'll say that. That's a great name for a podcast. Yeah, my family thinks I'm crazy. Um, Drunk wedding photographer. Be sure to hit live chat to see everyone's chat. Yeah, so if you're looking at the chat right now, in the top section is like a drop down menu. Make sure it's not on top messages. Make sure it's on live, otherwise you miss messages and you won't see them all. Um, I'm sure that's a purposefully done maneuver there by Susan, but well, who knows? Oh, excuse me. Right. I'm sure a handful of us are shadow banned. Yeah. Um, Good to hear. It's been crazy here the last 2 days. And there's my wife saying, after him, I don't know if we need another child. He has a play couch. He just likes the windowsill more. So yeah, she's saying the exact same things I am. Yeah, we're on the same page. We're eerily in sync about most things these days. It's like we've become one mind. There's a video we have online actually on her channel. We go away on holiday and we're trying to get him to eat something. And at the same time, we both say, "You'll like it," in the same tone, the same fashion. It's just creepy, but it's fun at the same time. Have you heard of Brian Forrester's work, The Real Skulls of Ancient People Who Created the Ancient Sites? I haven't, no, but I will note down Brian Forrester as a name to look into, and I'll check out some of his work. It's all going to be relevant to me when I start getting to that section of my book anyway. Discussing the features. I'm actually my next chapter in my book is biblical descriptions of the Nephilim, so what we can gauge about them just from the Bible and extra canonical books within the biblical narrative that we can also refer to. And then the chapter after that, chapter 14, is about all of the descriptions of these things from every other culture, basically outside of biblical canon. And works by people like that will be very useful to me because obviously they've done a lot of work already chasing up the tribes, looking into the ancient oral histories and the stories from everywhere. One major well-known example is the giants of Lovelock Cave that the Paiute Indians had to battle with in America, but there are many others, of course, many others. Um, it took me 4 years to have my second, and then my third came 19 months later. My younger ones were much easier than my first. He needs a brother or sister. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, the real skulls when reconstructed look way too human to me. Yeah, I know they're just not. It's not realistic. I mean, I did a drawing. I don't have it anymore. I lost this drawing a long time ago. I might have it in a book somewhere in the house maybe. But I took the elongated skull and basically tried to draw over it what I think they would have looked like, and it's a lot more reptilian based on the features of the skull. But it's that classic thing, where you get these people who, well, I don't know how deep you want to go into, dinosaur bones because there's a lot of contention about whether that's even a real thing anyway. But they get these bones, don't they? They have these giant lizards, and they basically try and reconstruct what they think they would have looked like. And we have this notion in our mind of, like, let's say what a velociraptor looks like. It's the Jurassic Park velociraptor, that grey reptile skinned big lizard with a sharp claw. And now they're saying, no, they probably actually had feathers. They don't actually know what the thing really looks like. They just have ideas and they make it up. They just make it up. And I think they're doing a lot of that with these skulls. Yeah, oh, well, they must have looked human. It's got two eye sockets and a nose hole, so it must have looked human. Just give it a human face with a big head. But I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think it's a lot trippier. I think the real thing is a multicolored reptilian featured human like thing, with weird looking big red lips, because humans have red lips, and this pale porcelain shiny white skin with like serpentine diamond patterns everywhere, and bright colours, maybe with feathers sticking out the skull as well to create a crazy like plumed thing going on. These were feathered angel flying hybrid snake things. That's what the parents were, the seraphim angels. So they looked insane. And people need to realize that. Um, what else have we got? Hall has the best lives on YouTube. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you guys just like me rambling on. Uh, a trampoline, a mountain climb. Yeah. It was um, it was originally easy. This is my wife talking about my son. He was originally easy, so I think the second will be worse if I'm honest. And no way I'm going for more than two. I can't handle that. Yeah, I don't want to be outnumbered. we, yeah, we do not want to be outnumbered. Two is a good number. That's right. All right, let's see what's going on here. Let's get into the show today, shall we? Like I said, guys, I'm going to be winging this. So you're going to have to give me a minute to try and compile my images back together wherever I put them. I got a lot of things to go through randomly. That just interesting talking points that I've gone through over the past week. If you don't know, I've been away for a week on a family holiday. I've got a couple of things from that I can share you, which I got images I can pull that I shared in the Telegram group while I've been away. Just a few things I've noticed. Naturally, I can't go on holiday anymore without seeing this stuff everywhere I go. So I'll show you a few things I noticed. Um, what else we got here? So girls are harder to raise than boys. I love you, bro. No homo. Okay, I love you too. I love you all. Look at kitchen help stands. Crazy at your home. Nova Scotia. But it's cold up there. Thunder and lightning for 6 to 7 hours. Wow. All we get is a light drizzle at best. But a lot of it rains a lot in England, but it's never that heavy, never that detrimental. How do you deal with writer's block when you get stuck? I do other things. I get to a point. See, this is my first time writing a book, so it's a learning curve for me. But the thing is, I'm not writing fiction here in my mind. I'm not like trying to make up a story. I am writing a book that's backed up with references from historical research to prove, as best I can, that my theory holds weight. You know that there is just cause to make a claim such as the Nephilim had features that we would consider clown-like today. So what I have to do is go out there and find the proof and bring it to the book. Um, so it's a bit different for me. If I get the only thing I get stuck on is how to phrase things. But I already know kind of what I need to say because I've been doing this for a long time, so I kind of already know the information I need to bring together. But it's writing it in a way that's fun, interesting, coherent, has a flow and a rhythm. I want it to be as easy to read out loud as it is to read in your head. So I've written a lot of things, which I've written I've written 45,000 words so far, and I've been reading snippets to you guys, and I find when reading them, I hear things which I didn't hear when typing, which just don't sit right. It doesn't flow right. It doesn't feel right. It needs a rejig. It needs a rephrasing. It needs putting basically the whole paragraph needs to be rewritten and said in a different way, type of thing. So I get a lot of that. I get a lot of I get stuck revising chapters rather than just moving on to the next chapter and accepting that as a rough first draft and going over it again at the end, which is what people say you should do. Someone gave me some great advice. At the start of all this, they said, "Look, just keep writing. Don't do any editing. Just keep going till the book's finished, then do the editing." And that's really good advice. Said otherwise, you'll end up feeling like you're getting nowhere. And then a month later, I comment back to that guy and I said, "Okay, it was great advice, but do you have any advice on how to actually follow your advice? Because it's hard. I'm a serial rewriter. I just keep going back over the same chapters over and over and over again, rather than going on to the next one. And when I do start the next one, that's just more chapters I have to keep rewriting over and over again. So I'm my own worst critic. So how do I deal with it? I don't know. I just get on with it. I just carry on, or take a break, take a breather, go do something else. I got photos to edit. I got work to do. I got plenty of work to do. I've just finished editing a wedding. I've got a fresh wedding I just did a week ago, which I need to edit now. I've got about 2,500 photos that need trimming down and making to about 800 with the perfect edit. And then I've got another wedding on the 4th. I got another wedding at the end of the month as well. And I don't have a shortage of creative things I need to do. I've got a son to look after and raise as well. So I take a break and then I come back at it with fresh eyes, maybe a few days later. And I generally tend to just be able to carry on. So that's the only advice I can come up with so far. Um, What's my wife saying? As Angela from The Office says, I guess I wouldn't mind a pair of small, well-behaved boys. Yeah, that would be nice. Um, yeah, well-behaved is hoping for the best. The drunk wedding photographer says, just walk away and go do something unrelated. So yeah, this guy gets it. Happens to me often. This time, I picked up 8 baby chickens. There you go. I want to see a real dino bone. So they are all. Sorry, skip there. The chat's going all over the place. Um, they're all locked up in vaults. So we're just guessing. So what is it even real? Yeah, well, again, that's a whole other discussion for another time, isn't it? You know what's weird? I have an Amazon tablet on YouTube and it doesn't show any live chat, but it shows live stream chat for Rumble. I tried using YouTube on a browser Still no chat. It's irritating. That's weird. Um, Looks like we're still talking about whether to have a boy or a girl in the chat there. I'm convinced they tell us they're locked up because they don't exist, or in reality, dragons. Yeah, I think it's likely more the dragon situation. Um, I certainly don't think the whole fossil fuel thing is true. I think the oil is actually more like the natural byproduct of pressure, and I think it's like the blood of the earth is a good way to describe oil. I don't think it's as finite as they make it out to be, either. I think a lot of it is manufactured scarcity in order to manipulate the markets to make people wealthy. I do think our history on dinosaurs, I think, is more akin to the Nephilim. Gary Wayne had an interesting perspective on this. Again, I don't know. I don't. This is not so saith the Lord or anything like that. This is just so saith me based on a few things I've seen. I don't actually know what the truth is on that necessarily. Just like most things in this reality, they've lied to us about everything. But Gary Wayne's take on it is that originally God created the earth, and we don't know exactly how long ago that really was the original. You could say man was created 6,000 years ago or something like that, I guess, suppose. But we don't actually know how old Earth itself is, right? And so his theory goes basically there was a time where God and the angels were on the earth, basically before man, and that could be thousands and thousands and thousands of years before we know. And it's before the waters were separated from the waters, or something happened. I can't remember in what stage, but there's a time which is very different to what we are now, where the earth looks very different, and creation as we know it wasn't fully complete, if you get what I mean. I think it's interesting as well. There's a corroborating type of thought on this in Aborigines in Australia. They believe in this time before called the dream time, which is a funny way to describe it. And the dream time had these rainbow serpents filling it, and a lot of trippy psychedelic beasts and gods, and strange entities. The dream time is a proper psychedelic era in history. It's ancient history, really old ancient history, before everything, before man type of stuff. And biblically speaking, I think Gary Wayne was basically saying that there was this time where the seraphim angels were on the earth, and they basically had this was theirs. Everything was theirs, and it was just them and God. And what they had created during that time were beings in their image. And the seraphim angels are reptilian in nature. The reptilian type angels with six wings that were incredibly close to God. But I've just finished a chapter that basically depicts these things and explains that these things are reptilian in nature. And it's possible that the second highest order of being next to God, the seraphim angel, were also creating things on earth in their image. Dinosaurs, big giant reptiles. They might have even created an upright walking reptilian like being, like a human shaped type thing, a bipedal reptile. And these would be the reptilians today, that you see depicted in drawings all over the place. And I think the rebellion could have happened. This is all Gary Wayne's theory, and I think there's a lot. He does back it up quite well. But it's this idea basically that the whole rebellion issue for the angels was that God created man, which was made in God's image, not the angel's image. And man obviously is a mammalian in nature. It's different from a reptile. And I think the reptilian seraphim angels were furious that God chose this thing over their perfect creation in their eyes, the reptile. He chose this monkey like thing. It was an outrage to them. They were highly insulted by this choice of God. Why wouldn't you choose a reptile? We're far more superior type of attitude. Pride set in. They really got too big for the boots during that time and thought everything they did was perfect and brilliant. And that rebellion was the first rebellion. That's what kicked it off. That's what made Lucifer, a seraphim angel, rebel. And cause a third of the other angels to rebel with him. They were also pissed off and angry about the whole situation. And it was actually, he theorized it's possible that the serpent in the garden that tempted Eve was one of these upright walking reptilian men, one of the original creations, and that was the serpent, it's, and his curse was to lose his limbs, and to be crawl on his belly basically, and be on the basically eat the dust of the earth, and basically it's kind of saying you'll no longer exist. The only closest thing to a reptile like you humans will ever experience is a snake now. But you will no longer have the wings, the legs, the arms. You'll just be a long slithering snake now, basically. It's an interesting concept, and it kind of explains how we had this talking snake basically that could convince a human woman to eat and partake in something that God explicitly said no. Perhaps it was a highly intelligent human-ish like reptile creature that could converse, and convince. Basically, it was a different. It wasn't just a snake wrapped around a tree. Basically, like we see in childish Sunday school depictions. It was far trippier. So I think that might explain dinosaurs. These reptilian creatures were everywhere at one point and dominated the earth because they were created by the reptilian Nephilim originally, and they were basically removed, wiped out in a cataclysm along with the rebellion, cursed to no longer be a thing. I don't know. Interesting way of viewing it, though. That might explain why we have these things around. But it's also worthy of mentioning that a winged serpent, which is what basically seraphim angels are, is basically a description of a dragon. So it could be that the dragons, so not the dinosaurs, but these giant winged dragons, even think of Chinese dragons as entities and gods as well. And these dragons were the angels, were the physical embodiment of the seraphim angels, maybe. I don't know. It's fun to speculate, though. Quetzalcoatl looked like that bird Anunnaki creature carrying a bag found worldwide. Yeah, well, Quetzalcoatl is the quintessential feathered serpent deity, isn't he? With a big grin. Keratin can be very coloured like tortoise shells, yes. Um, so dinos are real, but not giants. Well, I think they were all real at one point, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Dinosaurs, lol. Just big, big animals because of the vapor canopy being so different. Giants in them days. Yeah, well, people have made the argument that the atmosphere and the world was a very different place then, and the conditions were just right and higher in oxygen to support larger life forms. There is all that as well, but I think that goes hand in hand with what I was saying about this time before the creation of man, this time where the seraphim were on the earth and created all these giant lizards, basically. And maybe the earth was a very different time, different atmosphere then. It was very just completely different in molecular capacity than it is now, which would explain why they have this trippy dream time understanding of the ancient past in the Aborigines of Australia. They call it the dream time because the universe then behaved like a dream realm, not like physics as we understand. I think it was a trippy, weird place and time. Um, Praveen Mohan did a video of alien skulls in a culture. I did one Google search of elephant skulls and voila, flip script has them. They are past other skulls off as human. Yeah, yeah. There's that idea, isn't there, of how would aliens interpret if they found skulls or bones on Earth? How would they interpret what they see and make their own images of it? And you look at some of the things they come up with. It's kind of funny. So you look at like an elephant skull, and that thing looks insane. And how would they actually reconstruct that? And they reconstructed this hideous looking monster with this huge things, and this vicious look about it. But we know that elephants actually look quite harmless and cute and pudgy, with big flappy ears, and that's not at all what the reconstruction looked like. They have things like hippos as well. These hippos have these huge jaws, with the shape of their skulls. And the reconstruction again is this vicious monster. But hippos are quite chubby and fat and pudgy and weird, and the reality is often far from our imagination, is what we're trying to say. So I think these reconstructions of Nephilim skulls, these elongated skulls, are not what they really look like, and we need to be careful. Um, did you learn how to write in university? Not really. I always kind of just, I don't know, I suppose I taught myself how to write throughout the years. Um, I did write a dissertation in university about the occult symbolism in the media, something like that. I can't remember now. So I know kind of how to write, but I'm learning. I'm learning every day. That's all I'll say. Um, I think there's loads of bones of dragons, unicorns, giants, and all kinds of other imaginary creatures locked up in museums. I'd love to break in and see what they really look like. Yeah, yeah. Again, I think a lot of this has been hidden from us. Definitely, there's been a concerted effort to cover up our history, and that involves getting rid of inconvenient things like giant human skeletons. That go against the narrative of what they've taught us in schools. That's for sure. Absolutely. Um, the chat's just done a wild jump for me there, and I've just lost everything. Let me go back. Was pay awoke. Okay, I don't understand what that says. Was just listening to the Sabbath at Midnight podcast. Had to pause. Glad to catch you live. Brilliant. Yeah, yeah, guys, check it out. I put the link in the community tab on my page. You can go listen to the whole thing from their end. You could also listen to it on my end as well. It's one of my live shows from a couple of weeks ago, but theirs will be better, easy to listen to because it's in podcast form, so you can close your phone, turn your screen off, and listen to it at night, type of thing, without the light and all that sort of stuff. Um, The T Rex is just a huge, massive kangaroo. Now you said it, I see what you're saying. Maybe they were marsupials. Maybe they do have a pouch that is just not referenced in the reconstructions because they don't know. Um, you're a serial rewriter. I'm a serial re-editor. I'm currently re-editing my portfolio from 2016 to 2022. Yeah, well, my portfolio is quite small right now because this is the first year. But my wedding I've just done, I have been going back over the re-edits. I basically thought I'd finished, and then I decided, nah, the temperature's too warm. on all of them. So I've had to go through them all, adjusting the temperature to be a bit cooler to get more natural colours. And then as you go through, you realise, it's a bit noisy, that image. I need to denoise that one. I need to do that edit there. I need to darken the blacks here. And I've just basically spent another like 2 weeks going through everything again. Because you want it to be right for the client, you know what I'm talking about. Um, Kanga Kong says, I always wanted a boy. I don't have kids. Humans, I feel like I would screw up if I had a daughter. I can relate to boys much easier, which always presented a problem because they come on to me without fail. Right? Yeah, well, you know, I wanted a boy, and now I've got a boy. I do wonder if I'd like to try having a girl. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that'd be a whole other mess I have to try and figure out. Being a father to a daughter, I imagine is a lot more stressful for me as a father. I imagine. Um, Getting on here late, but looks like I'm not missing anything. No, I've just been ranting away for God knows what, an hour, almost an hour. So I'll do it. I haven't even done the presentation yet, humble stranger. So looking for you, you've not missed anything. So I'll do it in a minute. Um, let's talk about the elongated skulls. So I'll catch up with the chat again soon, guys. But right now I'm going to try and get some images ready, just to show you guys. At the speed of shadows here. Good to see you. Um, Knocking it out of the park with your Sabbath at midnight interview. Very professional, if I could say. You know your work inside and out. Well, I should hope so after 6 years. But again, I was just saying earlier, I'm pretty much winging these interviews, so I'm glad they're coming off as coherent. That's what I wanted. And we're talking about history being hidden. Right, perfect. Right, guys. So give me a minute. Let me just quickly open up this and let's see where we can start. So I did download everything, but they're not really in any particular order. So it might be easier if I just literally open the Telegram group and show you guys what I shared in the Telegram group, because yeah, that's probably the easiest way to do this. Right, so let me just share the screen with you guys. Presentation time, children. Gather round, gather round. How you doing? Come on in, sit on down. Let's have a bit of a presentation. So sharing the screen with you guys now. So here's Telegram. If you guys haven't already joined Telegram, then please do. If I can make this full screen, yeah, I can make it full screen. Excellent. Yeah, so this is where I have 170 members up here, as you can see. Here's all my lovely, lovely members and contributors to this. And we have a nice little community going. It's great fun. I'm a member of a few other ones down here, as you can see. Weaponized Conspiracy, Conspiracy Hole. But yeah, this is my group, and you can contact me, communicate with me regularly. We can like each other's comments. We can share all. As you can see, this we share all sorts on here. It's not all Nephilim related. It's about every other topic you can imagine. But we also share a lot of extracurricular clown stuff on here as well. It's good fun, and I'm glad we have it. But what I do need to do is go right back to the bottom and come to the most recent things I was talking about. Here we go. So there's this. So I'm on Facebook, you know what I mean? I'm just going through my business account, just trying to sort a few things out. And randomly, this advert, well, this comes up. World Ancient History suggested for you. And we'll read it. So, one of the hundreds of elongated skulls that were discovered in 1928 at Paracas Peninsula in Peru. Cranial deformation was practiced by the Paracas civilization 800 to 100 BCE by tightly wrapping the heads in cloth during the first few years of life in order to elongate the cranium. And it's funny because what they're showing here is not a human skull. This one is a Nephilim skull. And there's lots of things we can know about this as to why. So this is basically just a load of bollocks. This is a lie, you know. And now I'm not saying people didn't wrap things around the infant's child's head in order to make it elongated. There's no reasoning in this comment here, in this advert. It's just telling you something, okay? So if we go on, I looked at the comments, and it's nothing but people saying amen, right? It just goes on and on and on. People saying amen, amen, amen. It's actually madness, okay? And I'm like, why? I'm trying to find out why everyone's just saying amen repeatedly in the comments. And I finally find someone saying, so what's all this amen about? And someone's like, I was just thinking the same. It doesn't make any sense. And someone says, every life is precious and everyone is a child of God. Do you not understand this? I'll pray for you, okay? That doesn't really answer the question as why everybody's saying amen randomly. Someone here is like, why are you people saying amen? Are you praying or praising this weirdness, you know? And other people are asking, like, what's the amen for? Why are we saying amen? And no one's answered the question. They just are. Um, it's like I scrolled down and I could only see amen as well. I wondered why this is happening. And it's just non-stop. Honestly, out of hundreds of comments, it's just nothing but amen all the way down. And I think I've clocked on to why. I think it's a way of suppressing people who say stuff like, nah, this is not true. You need to talk about the Nephilim. And every time someone does mention anything like that, it gets flooded with more of these amens. And I think it's like a bot thing, like an AI bot reaction in some way, because saying amen repeatedly is not conducive to the original post. It's not relevant. It's completely unnecessary and doesn't make any sense. So that's weird enough. That's weird enough. But then you see these things all the time, like just this beautiful practice happened by these awesome cultures. Isn't this amazing that they squash their skulls? And they never explain why. They never bother to mention why they do it. Just that they did. It's like, don't think about that. Don't ask questions, just move on. And someone pointed out that even the earring they put on this reconstruction has an imp on it with horns. As you can see here, it's got the curved two horns, a little body with a little tail here, and some little legs, maybe with some kind of staff in its hand, perhaps. But it's just odd, isn't it, to have that on the earrings of this thing? Whatever. And again, I don't think the true reconstruction looks like this. I think they were a lot trippier looking, a lot more psychedelic looking, a lot more lizard like. So other people then sent these images in. This is apparently from one of Mind Unveiled's video recently. And these are the things people did or contraptions they used to squash the skull of the infant child. And as you can see, all it does is create like a cone head effect, essentially. It doesn't really create the true effect of an elongated skull that we actually see from the Nephilim. It creates a cheap imitation. Okay, here's another example of a pointed head because of someone in a particular culture using this apparatus to squash the baby's head. So what they get is this cheap, bizarre looking thing, like a pointed forehead, a pointed tip of the head. And this isn't what Nephilim skulls actually look like. This isn't it. What this is an attempt to recreate an image of some kind. It's an attempt to be like something. It's an emulation. They are trying to emulate what they consider to be something of high status, something worthy of veneration, and they want to be like it. This practice is actually not at all different from celebrity worship today. If a celebrity dresses or acts in a certain way, those who follow that celebrity will try to emulate those actions and dress and act in the same way because they consider that individual to be famous, of a higher status or class in some way, and as somebody to look up to and to copy in order to get to a similar level of hierarchy and status and be viewed in a particular way. So that's interesting enough. And that's all I've got on there. So I do have more images which I sent to myself from my phone actually. So let me just get off this. Um, where are they? Where are they? Here we go. So here's another post. You see that on the screen now. This was screenshotted of a little while back, but then I saw this post basically celebrating this practice, by showing this picture here. And it says the Mangbetu captivated European colonists with their distinctively elongated heads, achieved through the traditional practice known as lipombo. By tightly wrapping their infant's head with cloth, they created a remarkable appearance that became synonymous with their culture. However, with the influx of Europeans and the spread of westernization, this practice gradually declined from the 1950s onwards. Nonetheless, the unmistakable Mangbetu figures in African art continue to serve as enduring testaments to their unique aesthetic heritage. So it's like a glorification of this barbaric practice, I have to say. You're squashing your baby's skull. That is not good for them. I don't care what you say or what your reasoning behind it is. It's stupid, okay? And they make out here, oh, it's the unique aesthetic heritage. Is it unique? Is it? I'm pretty sure this happens worldwide on every continent. It can be found all over the place. Why is this unique to this one particular tribe in Africa? It's not, But this post is basically just a virtue signaling, white man bad, black culture beautiful post. Basically, that's what it is, and that's the attitude behind this. Evil colonialists came and stopped this beautiful culture from practicing an ancient practice and heritage. Not once have they mentioned in here why. Why do they do it? Can any of these people answer that question? Do they know why? I don't think they do. I don't think they have a clue why these things happen. They just take it for granted that it does at face value. Oh, well, it's just something that does happen. Don't question it. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it brave and stunning and wonderful? Well, no, not really. So let's go to the internet and look more into this. So here's some examples of these tribes and these cultures doing this. Basically reversed image search one of these to get more examples. Um, yeah, so as you can see, elongated, sure, but no extra volume here. More pointed. Yeah, it's more pointy effect as a result. And obviously the hair emphasizes it as well as they grow the hair out to make it look even more pointy. Odd shapes get created on the head as well, kind of like a reptilian frill or a spine of some kind. Very bizarre shapes. What were they doing here? What are they trying to do? So this person says, this captivating photo takes us back to the French Congo of 1922, where a tribeswoman proudly showcases her elaborate headdresses. The woman's striking presence is a testament to the rich cultural heritage found in Central Africa during this era. Her headdress, meticulously crafted with intricate details and vibrant colours, reflects the customs and traditions of her tribe. It symbolises not only her individual identity, but also serves as a representation of her community's collective history. In an age when racial stereotypes were prevalent, this image challenges those notions by highlighting the beauty and diversity of African women. So, are you going to explain at any moment in this I don't know what this is. This is basically just a circle jerk of African culture. This person is venerating it in an almost worshipful manner, but doesn't explain at any moment why they do it. Are they going to explain what this rich cultural heritage is all about? Are they going to explain these customs and traditions of her tribe? Are they going to go beyond it symbolizing simply her individual identity or her community's collective history? Are you going to explain what that collective history is? They don't know. They don't know. They're not asking why. Why do they do this? Is anyone going to ask this question at any given moment of why they would do this? It's such an odd stylistic choice. It makes very little sense. Why have this plate at the back? This vortex-like pattern, that from the front creates what looks like a disc behind the head. Is anyone gonna expand on this? Why create this what looks like a Roman imperial helmet on the head? Could it be that they're trying to perhaps mimic something because they consider that thing to be of high status or value or class in some way, shape, or form? You know, now let's look at the headdresses. Let's say, here's some other examples. First of all, doing it to the children. Male or female, they all practice the same thing. It doesn't really matter. They put this down as to beautiful African heritage and culture. That's all these comments ever really say about it. And now let's just look at I don't know. Let's just look into Nephilim skulls. They won't go under that name in the image search, but someone's probably compiled images and examples of this. Uh, yeah, so here they are. Here's two side by side. So one is human, one is Nephilim, basically. Now, what's the difference? The difference is that the volume of this skull here is enormous compared to this thing here. Okay? They're both adult skulls, but this one has less volume than this one. Because what the one on the right was attempting to do was to look like the one on the left. That's what's happening here, okay? There were these creatures roaming the earth who were kings and rulers over mankind in an ancient antediluvian and post-diluvian past for a short period before the final culling. There were these things, these creatures with long, snake-like features, which would incorporate the long skull. Okay? They were the Nephilim. Okay, they were the reptilian offspring of humans who had mixed themselves with serpentine angels. And they didn't, well, they kind of look something like what you see in the left here. I think the colour is missing, but they had very large eyes, not not human at all. They had an oddly shaped skull. Not because of cranial deformation using boards and rope, but because they were born that way. Because it's actually a feature of them. It's a feature. It's a reptilian feature, in fact, handed down. Um, and the reason these African tribes do these things is because they are trying to be like them. They consider them greater than them. So as you notice here, a Nephilim skull, which is significantly larger and thicker and stronger than a human skull, doesn't have the suture line going down the skull cap like a human's does. It's a completely different design. It's a completely different thing, which is why a human skull can never be like a Nephilim skull for this reason. You'll also find, don't have an image here, but the positioning of where the spine column enters the back of the skull is in a completely different place to human skulls because it needs to support the excess weight. It's different. It's not human. It's something else. People need to remember this. Okay, people need to start realizing that we've been lied to here. Essentially, look at the red hair on this one. Yeah. So the reconstructions, like I said, often make them look a lot more human than they actually were. And though we do have plenty of examples of skulls of ordinary humans that have been squashed, here's an example, have been squashed, there's also plenty mixed in with them of these other skulls of other entities that lived alongside these humans who were trying to copy them. They are not the same thing. They are something else. There's a Nephilim skull. Here's another one. But the human comparison is not quite the same. As you can see, it's more of a pin shaped. It's not as rounded. It doesn't have that extra suture. Very bizarre. Very bizarre indeed. And they never explain it in any of these random posts you just see. Look at the face paint on this. This might be closer to the reality of what the skin actually may have looked like. um, if I put Inca elongated skulls. So we're not in Africa anymore. We're not in Africa. We're basically in Mexico. And let's look at their versions of these elongated skulls. It's a practice they did as well. And I noticed they do this thing where they bejewel them and mosaic them, which is quite interesting. And I do wonder, like, what a bizarre practice, Are they just doing this for a bit of fun? And then I wonder, are they actually trying to recreate the scales that shone that these creatures originally had? If they were reptilian human hybrids, would their skin have actually looked something like this originally? Brightly coloured, bulging wide eyes like a snake, um, and like a scaled like mosaic like skin that reflected light like diamonds. Is that what they're trying to do here? Is that what they're truly trying to represent and recreate? With these multicolored patterns like the black strip across the forehead and snake like patterns, basically. Interesting practice, a bizarre practice, definitely. Definitely something just to consider briefly there. But yeah, so this is a global phenomena, and I know people don't like using that word, and maybe it's a slip of the tongue to use that word. A worldwide phenomena. But here's an example. In Egypt, I believe this is a Nefertiti, I think. And that's not a normal human skull that's just been squashed. That's not what that is. And look at the size of her eyes. Those are not human-sized eyes. Those are enormous. Look at those long, thin features. The drooping, long features. These are reptilian features. Look how thin the neck is. How long and thin that neck is. These are serpent-like traits that have just kind of diluted down throughout the generations and the millennia. So they get more and more human as time goes on, but the original forms that they've kind of descended from were a lot more psychedelic originally. And as the kings and rulers went down throughout the nations and these pagan nations, they maintain these features, but they get kind of more and more diluted and more human as time went on. Look at this statue of Pharaoh of Akhenaten, for example. Look how long and thin and slender all these features are, how far his chin sticks out, how pointy it is. This isn't normal human features. Look how high up his ears are. This isn't right. This isn't normal human features or shapes. But if you look at the Nephilim skull that goes within, well, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? These large headdresses that royalty wore, well, would fall off a normal human's head, but they would fit perfectly onto one of these Nephilim hybrid creatures. There's a difference between these things, these giants among humans with very large, long, thin heads, which were kings and rulers and even considered gods by primitive cultures. There's a difference between them and humans who have flattened them with pieces of wood to try and be like them and end up with a pin shaped head. They're not the same, but they're trying to convince you it is. No, they're just the same thing. All elongated skulls are a result of humans squashing infant skulls, like you see here. They don't want you to question the narrative in any way, shape, or form. You have to just simply believe it's just the art of, you know, manipulating the skull at birth. That's just not the case. That's just not what was going on. um, if we even if we just look into, let's just Google, for example, elongated skulls. Okay, and you can get the Wikipedia breakdown, and they explain that in Mongolia this was huge. This was a practice done by the rulerships and kings of the age. So here's an example of a UC prince of Kalchea in Asia, and it was a common practice. Here they are on the coins. Look at the size of these features are very bizarre. Here is a king on a horse. And look at these bizarre. I think he has reptilian snake-like features there. I think he has a very wide grin, high brow ridge, not dissimilar from a clown. He's depicted as very, very pale and white here, porcelain white. He looks like he even perhaps has some kind of scaling on his arm. But it's obviously a very mottled image now, so we get very little from that other than what I've just said there. But they did have this practice in these cultures of elongating the skull. And they seem to really, really be into it, big time, and this is in Asia, Middle Asia, just above India, just north of India, and it's a really common thing. And interesting, we have this guy wearing black and white pinstripes here doing it as well. And this is in France. So this is how they got this effect in babies and infants. Bizarre. But if we look here, so intentional cranium deformation predates written history. It was practiced commonly in a number of cultures that are widely separated geographically and chronologically, and still occurs today in a few areas. So they're admitting there this happens all over the world, separate from each other, within different time frames and zones, with no relation to each other. So they're not even going to mention it here why they do it. Of course they're not. They're not going to mention it at all. They obviously say it's something to do with Neanderthals and deformation or something, but then they say actually no, people have actually been doing this on purpose, so it's nothing to do with that. It's not a different, they're basically saying there. We thought it might have just been a deformed human originally, but then we realised people are doing this intentionally to themselves. So the Alchon kings engaged in skull modification. It was practiced by Hun groups that appeared in Europe. The elongated skulls appear clearly in most of the portraits and rulers in the coinage of the Alchon Huns, most visibly the coinage of Kingila. So there's an example there floating. And what an odd looking creature that is on that coin. It lacks human features, even though it has this elongated skull. It's weird. It looks like an Easter Island head, doesn't it? Look at this coin closer. Does that not look like something you would find on Easter Island? Not human features. These are not human features at all. Here they're trying to say here, yeah, well, they have long skulls, so they must have practiced cranial deformation. Full stop. Done. Nothing else to look into. Move on. Nothing to see here. basically. And same way it's all on the coins, So yeah, cranial deformation is what they must have been doing. Blah 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 blah. Not buying it. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Let's look at all these other Alchen Huns, throughout history. Here's another one with an elongated, weird shaped face. That's not a human face. Humans are not shaped like that. It looks like an Easter Island head again. Um, More examples. Here's an example of one of the skulls. It's a solid piece without a middle suture. It's like it's a helmet rather than three pieces of skull that are fused together from infancy. Look at this monster. What a monster this thing is. If I saw that thing coming towards me, I'd run the other way. He's like an ogre, isn't it? Like a ghoul of some kind. You know, if that's a horse, look at the size of this man on this horse. This thing's a giant. This thing is not human. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. It looks like this horse has some wings growing out of the back of it as well, which is bizarre. Yeah. Ancient historical people were shaped weird, or at least the kings and rulers that were embedded onto the coinage were shaped weird. I mean, what is this even supposed to be, this beast this thing's riding here? Some more letters of the alphabet. I don't know why they're showing these in numerous images. But yeah, look at this thing. This guy's all neck. So this is ancient. This is an ancient practice, and then they get these cultures and these posts saying, "Oh, look at this beautiful, incredibly unique African culture heritage trait." Blah 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 blah. And it's nothing unique or culturally individual about it at all. It's an ancient practice which was done for a specific reason. They were trying to emulate something. They were trying to be like the celebrities and heroes of the day, the gods. And now I bet most of these cultures do it and don't even know why anymore. It's just tradition. It's probably as deep as they go when considering it. But its roots are an ancient veneration of the gods, small g, the Nephilim. That's where it all comes from. And it all seems obvious to me, and to us who have been doing this for a long time. But there are millions of people out there who just simply see this thing, this one random post, and that's it. That's as far as they go. They move on. They'll never think about it ever again if they see an elongated skull. It's like these things are just put out there as kind of like the daily programming upload, just to make sure people have in their programming an answer to this when they see it, so they don't have to think, and they just move on consciously. I feel like that's what it is. I feel like that's what's going on there. I mean, I was looking at this, funnily enough. Here's an example of somebody saying, no, 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 that's not cranial deformation. These things look like lizard men or aliens or something. And I don't think it's not an alien thing, it's a Nephilim hybrid creature thing. It's something else. There you go. And the reason they do this is because they consider it a beauty standard. It's a power symbol. People who do this are considered more attractive than others in certain cultures, which is why they do it. And you wouldn't think something was attractive unless you applied to it some kind of value, such as, let's say, being a king or a god, a celebrity of some kind, renowned, men of renown, that's what they were described as in the Bible. I mean, look at these things. They all have red hair, fully enough, sticking to the clown symbolism. It's always red. Looks like AI here did a prompt to try to recreate what elongated skulls look like. And look how reptilian and evil they made this thing look. Like a velociraptor, human, I don't know, demon mix type thing. Interesting. But yeah, big difference between a Nephilim skull and a human who's tried to look like a Nephilim. Big difference, but they don't want you to recognize that there is a difference. They want you to equate the two as one and just move on. Get over it. Never question it ever again, and have the answer already there. Here's an example of Nefertiti fitting into her hat. That odd shaped hat, that odd shaped head. Um, this is the issue. They've tried to bury a lot of it, but I think there's too much out there. that if people just poke around a little bit, they'll very quickly find that, it doesn't add up to what they've been told. So they have to keep pumping out randomly in people's feeds things like that, things like this, just randomly. Every now and then, just to, like I said, update the programming, the internal monologue in the NPC mind, know? Just to make sure people are remembering that, yeah, this is normal, nothing to see here, move on, get on with life. Go and consume something, go watch another TV show, go and eat another candy bar, uh, go back to work, blah, 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 whatever, just do something else. Go play a video game. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, just keep going on. And it's not aliens, guys. I know there's an ancient alien thing going out there saying, we were visited by an alien race. It's demons. It's Nephilim, which are demons, okay? It was the physical Nephilim before they became the demons. That's all it was. Not aliens from outer space. None of that. Right. So I think I've ranted enough about that. There's only so much more I can say about it, But again, I just thought it was odd seeing these posts everywhere. I feel like this goes without saying, so I'm making it clear. Looks like someone here's done another AI recreation of the elongated skull. It's funny how it went for red hair with like a clownish features there. I'm going to jump back into the group chat, see what you guys are saying. Then I got a couple of other tidbits I want to share with you guys, which we were discussing in the Telegram group throughout the week. If I go to how do I work this thing? I'm still learning. So if I go there and media, here are all the images we've shared. Talking about Star Forts, the NPCs. Who remembers Toy Soldiers? Remember this? Remember the Gorgonites? I talked about the Gorgon at length, but here's a spider leg shaped haired, Joker Jester like entity Nephilim creature, which was one of the good guys in the film, if you remember correctly, fighting against the bad humans who were programmed to kill them. But here we have our Nephilim, basically. We have the Lion Men of Moab. We have the Frankenstein patchwork beasts that of creation, 'cause that's what they were, hybrid creatures. We've got the one-eyed symbolism monster here, and we've got human-animal hybrids galore, and we've got this jester-like entity, this Joker-like blue-skinned, creepy-looking thing here, the clown, the crazy one, to fight against the evil humans, evil invading humans. Look at these with the jester Joker like grins as well. One eyed symbolism there as well with the main character. So that was quite interesting. Yeah, always eager to point that out. We're talking about other things as well. I mean, look at that. That's all I'll say about that. Let's move on. Stop using words like Karen. Let's skip through all these. How do I get off this? There you go. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So he's the Wanginas, these things created during the dream time I was talking about earlier. Had these Wanginas around. I forget about some of the stuff we mentioned. Right, here we go. So I was on holiday, okay, and I went on a family big holiday with 8 of us to Butlins. Okay, my wife used to go there all the time as a child, and we surprised her mother with a trip to Butlins as kind of like a nostalgic trip. The kids taking her instead of her taking the kids. And while I was there, they have this thing called the Skyline Gang. Okay, so there's this main tent called the Skyline Tent, and they have this group of mascots called the Skyline Gang, right? And let's look at these people. Okay, so this is for the kids. And I was looking at this, and my wife said you probably find this interesting. And basically, first of all, I get multicolored collective from this. Okay, and you know who I mean when I say the multicolored collective. Also, the rainbow is hijacked by these demons. So we talk about Nephilim looking like clowns. Well, we're talking multicolors, aren't we? So that's the first of all. I think it's interesting that they're called the Skyline Gang, implying that these things are heavenly in some way. Perhaps in a particular part of maybe like the sky. We have these floating orb symbolisms, don't we? So if we go through them, the Mimi stands out to me immediately with the six pointed star of Remfam there. You know, also it's like she's been labeled as a Jew, if you want to go that far. Let's just say Uden in the middle, but she's called Mimi, Mimi 33, I. You know, the as in AI, an all-seeing eye within the star, and the is 33 on its side. So there's that symbolism there as well. We've got the black and white creature here, just like the disembodied entities of the Nephilim. We have the green man here called Sprout, who has the wild, spiky hair, not dissimilar from the Gorgonite we just showed, to be honest. He's the wild card with the big grin, with the green face paint and everything. He's also represented as the Green Man, which is a demonic entity I've mentioned in many other things. Basically, a Dionysus reference as well. The god of mirth, fun, frivolity, that type of thing. Yeah, and these are for the kids, and just something didn't sit right with this about for me. It just didn't sit right. I don't. It just didn't, And I saw people dressed up as these characters, taking photos with all the kids after a performance on the main stage. But there's just something creepy about them. Very clown-like with the makeup as well. Very disembodied, spirit-esque. And there's this big, giant, fluffy, wide mouth ginger dog as like a mascot. But this one's just strange, isn't it? Something strange about this one with the star. It really is. Um, yeah, and this one here throwing up the devil horns at the end. Yeah. This one doing the as above, so below symbol, pointing up, pointing down. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff going on here. Yeah, and they got the archetypical clown character as well. And it's just that it's the rainbow colours. Yeah, something creepy about this. So that's one thing I noticed while I was on holiday. I thought I'd just point that out to you guys as a bit of fun. I can't enjoy anything anymore. What do you know? Um, Someone sent me this Cirque du Soleil advert. It's got the Hat Man there with the red feathers. I thought that was worth talking about. And they got your classic Statue of Liberty is actually a representation of Lucifer freed from his prison for his little season. I thought it was an interesting depiction there. And there's Lucifer in the painting, and there's the Statue of Liberty, which it's based on, with the broken chains. So interesting. Just thought I'd bring that up as well. Oops, checking my phone there, guys. 1 second. Hopefully, it's not people screaming at me, telling me that the chat's cut out, because that has happened before. Which no, it's no good if that's the case. But no, it seems like we're still going, guys. We're still good. Yeah. So anyway, there's the Telegram page, guys. Come and join. Come and join if you haven't already. You can see videos of someone's just posted this in the Telegram group. There they are doing a live performance. Yeah, this one actually is dressed like a devil. So this is the Halloween edition, is it? Yeah, there we go. Witchcraft and wizardry. Yeah. So you also watch videos of Ozzy Osbourne meeting a singing clown. Yeah, interesting stuff. All right, guys, let's get back into the chat here. I can see you all speaking here, but I'll switch over to the webcam. There we go. So that's me ranting. That's a little thing I've got for you today. Elongated skulls. Don't buy the hype, They're lying to you. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Let me catch up. Where was I up to? T-Rex is a massive kangaroo. Still talking about kids. Uh, right. I wanted to tell you as well that you need to know that the world before the flood was simply different. Less water and the ocean as we know didn't exist yet. No, that's true. Yeah, the whole world was terraformed with the flood into something new. I agree. Um, it may have been the case that there wasn't that much water on the earth originally. It was mainly all just land, with streams and stuff. And now the earth is inhabited with a body of water that we can't even drink. Oh, the irony, Speaking about found bones. The first artist depictions of a hippo based on found skulls even look like dinosaurs. Yeah, hippo skulls are insane. They're absolutely insane. You never know that what they look like in reality. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. Um, Something about fonts. The Smithsonian has hidden a heck of a lot of huge human bones found for approbation. A few creators are saying they now wear hoodies and sunglasses to hide. I'm not sure what that's about. Hidden or destroyed indeed. Oh, you mean the Nephilim hide under hoodies and sunglasses? That makes sense. Yeah. Um, Not sure how much truth is in it. Well, I do think the bloodlines have continued today. I think you can probably see examples actually in high people in high positions of leadership who believe themselves to be descendants of the original Nephilim, so have dragon blood. They have odd shaped heads and features if you look into it. Cyclops skulls, yep. Just thinking about hippo skulls, yeah. Speaking of reptiles, 2 days ago, about 20 feet away from my back gate in the parking lot, my dog spotted a reptile. It wasn't moving. Then I saw it was missing part of its body. I guess a cat got it. Well, yeah. Reptiles ain't all that anymore, are they? They say elephants find children adorable like dolls and will care for them. Interesting. Aquatic, terrestrial, and arboreal snakes. Land, sea, and air. Gliding snakes, yes. Your writing is excellent. You are talented. Oh, well, thanks, Winds of Change. I'm glad people enjoy my writing. I had to pause Spotify too. Hello, everyone. How goes the good fight? Can you imagine a hedgehog the size of a bus? They wouldn't be so cute anymore, would they? Absolutely not. Um, the Vatican is more protected than any bank. That's a good point. What else we got? Got vibes. Good to see you. Please like and share. He says, absolutely, guys. Make sure to like this video, share it around, subscribe if you haven't already, please. That would be a great help. I don't know if you saw earlier some of the images that came up, but I have officially hit 13,000 subscribers. It has taken about 2 weeks to get out of needing only 20 subscribers to hit that mark. It's been going close to 13,000, then dropping down, close to 13,000, dropping down. This month, in the past 28 days, I have lost 218 subscribers. I've just been losing them all. Maybe when I talked about Jesus, that lost a lot of the Gnostic thinkers, I think, and the New Age types who came along thinking it'd be nothing but clown talk. Um, but at the same time, obviously, I gained about 300 and something, but I lost about 200 and something. So total net gain for the past 28 days has been 177 subscribers. Um, and it's been taking forever just to get past 13,000. It's like I'm not allowed. I've been waiting 2 weeks to get there. I've been like 10 away for 2 weeks, and it goes up and down, close and then drops. And so maybe something's happening. Maybe YouTube's up to some funny business. I don't know, but I've finally done it. I've reached 13,000, so that's a reason to celebrate with a live show. Here we are. Visited the Vatican once. The place feels so dark and morbid. Hmm. I love the bears being beside you. It's very comforting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like this guy. I like this one. I like his shape. It makes me laugh. What did I call this one? I think this one's called Teddy Bear. I think I just kept it simple with this one. And this is Jeffrey behind me here. Is that Telegram? I've not signed up yet, but I'm going to. Yeah, it's just like WhatsApp. But it's just you can join groups and you become a part of a big group chat basically. It's good fun. It's good fun. It can on your phone, however, it saves everything that people share, so the memory can get full in your phone quite quick. So you got to make sure to clear it every now and then. But yeah, it's interesting. That might have been the work of Forrester and his lectures of the ancient Paracas people, but I have to argue way too human looking. Yeah, they always go way too human looking. They always do it wrong. Ah, I see Ming there, great fellow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I talked to him quite a lot actually, just privately on Telegram every now and then. He's given me a lot of advice on how to run a group and stuff like that, so I'm thankful for that. He's actually the guy who got me onto Telegram. He's the one who invited me onto his group, and then got me into making my own. So yeah, Ming Ming's a cool guy. Um, AI demons were commenting. Yeah, I think a lot of that was on that post, the amen thing. I went into a lot of these accounts, and they all seemed they did something. They didn't seem right. They didn't seem like real people to me. It seemed like an amalgamation of images that have been slapped together to make it seem like it was a real person. If you get what I mean. Very bizarre. It makes me think the Amen people might be descendants of these Nephilim and know it's just saying. Maybe it could be that. I don't know. It was just strange behavior to see. It was completely unrelated to the post. It didn't need to be there, but it did bury people who were questioning stuff. So maybe that was the whole point of it to begin with. Wait, is that cranial deformation or is that an actual elongated skull? Well, I think I'd explain that, Trent, in the following minutes preceding that question. I'm in Essex and I've been thinking it's always raining when you're in your car since summer started. I know we've had some sunny weather here and there. Um, I just record a lot of videos in the car because it's the only time I get away on my own to do that type of thing. So I'm going to do what I can when I can. Um, Amen doesn't add to the conversation, says Kanga. Exactly, it doesn't add anything. Um, a lot of people online with these odd demonic comments are AI demons. Perhaps, perhaps it's all just artificial intelligence. Yeah, head binding can change the shape of the skull, but not the size, says LVK, and that's my point exactly. That's my point exactly. Um, Look at the brow bone on that skull. They totally didn't do the recreation any justice. No, exactly. Um, Vibes is laughing there. Margaret says foot binding works too because the bone of the young are softer. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I had my son, and this is this tiny thing, like you can literally hold in the palm of your hands like this, and you're very delicate with it because it's soft and squishy. And you let them sleep in the little cot, and they turn the head on the side, don't they? And you're supposed to keep turning the head to the other side because it flattens with the weight and they get a flat spot in the skull. And if you don't turn the head enough regularly, it gets permanent. It's permanently flattened, and you've deformed the skull. And the thing is, they don't really tell you about that. You kind of have to find out. We found out the hard way. His skull began to get misshaped and weird, and we found out that we have to keep moving it. So we did regularly, onto the other side, and luckily it did mold back into shape slowly, and it's normal now. But you've got to be careful. Child skulls are extremely malleable, and I didn't know this until having a child. And it looks like people, like I said, have been taking advantage of this in these cultures, haven't they, to emulate these other beings? And it's not like the baby had a choice, in these cultures. Maybe they don't want to look like that, but what choice do they have? It's tradition. Right, bit of water there. Does anyone think that binding or squashing a child's head may or did cause brain damage or retardation? It wouldn't surprise me if it knocked a few IQ points off of people. Not at all. It wasn't meant to be done, was it? It probably does have detrimental effects. The hell that can't be healthy for kids. Why is that celebrated? Nobody has celebrated white druid sacrifices that did happen. Okay, I'm not sure what that's about. Cosmetic trends are ridiculous. Yes. Skulls are not solid domes, they are plates that they fuse with age. Yes, exactly. But the Nephilim skulls are solid domes. They're different. Does anyone get it yet? I would think doing that would be painful for the child. Yep. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Mohawk styles, yeah. Uh, Chinese foot binding and Japanese teeth darkening, both used to showcase their class and status. Absolutely. Most archaeologists just do the status quo. They don't ask even basic questions like why. It's BS. Yeah, absolutely. Foot binding seems like torture. It is torture. It's wrong. It's hideous. Have you seen the feet after foot binding? Or it's terrifying to look at. To be honest, it's a mess. Um, those neck rings simply press down the collarbones. Yeah, but the attempt to have an elongated neck is just it's the same thing. It's to create longer, thinner features like that of a serpent. Because that's who the gods were. That's who used to rule over everybody on Earth at one point. And these ancient traditional oral tradition cultures have just maintained the tradition. And I think they've forgotten why they do it now. They just always have. Um, I bet if it was brought up in the messages, the thoughts we have here would be called dirty racists. This is not about race. This is again a worldwide phenomena. This happened in every culture. Um, and every culture has their own weird practice, that is a veneration of these things. This one is just an extreme bodily mutilation form, um, and it shouldn't be glorified just because it's done by people of a certain skin color, which is what it's happening here. It's kind of I think white a lot of white guilt out there, misplaced maybe, is views these cultures and then just says how beautiful, how amazing to make them virtue signal how tolerant I am of other people's cultural practices. I think it's beautiful, and it's done in a very underhanded, seedy way. It's not that they actually care about these people's cultures. Um, and out of true love, I'm trying to tell all these different cultures of different races, stop worshipping and venerating demons. It's not good for you. You could be much happier and better off by ditching these traditional practices, which are no good. No good. They don't come from a good source or root. Um, there's a reason why you do them, and you don't know why. And we can know these things. It's not something you don't have to be victim to them anymore. These barbaric practices, that's what they are basically. Those neck so illusion of grandeur, the plates in the lips too. What else have we got? Before there was Playboy magazine, there was National Geographic. Yeah, Kanga Kong. I've had very realistic dreams. Uh, on the okay. I probably can't say that. Paul, you totally need to bring up the missing suture on the head in your book. Oh, I will. I will, definitely. It's a main point of the Nephilim feature. I'll have to bring that up. Anyone ever look up that crazy picture of a Rothschild banker? Yeah, they're all coneheads, all the Rothschilds. Yeah, they are. Um, the isms and phobes terms are losing their sting as they're so overused. Cry wolf. Yeah, exactly. Um, that's what that's what people end up using when they've lost the argument. You know, just call you a name, call you a something, and they're done. They don't have to. I'm not going to waste my time arguing with a bigot. If they can then take that false moral high ground from the amazing straw man they've created of you. It's all about divide and conquer. Yep. Looks like a character from The Simpsons. Yeah, Jacob Rothschild. He does. Yeah, he looks like Mr. Burns, doesn't he? Can't use Google. It's curated. DuckDuckGo, Yandex, or FreeSpoke is much better. Okay, I'll take that under advisement. I noticed that the app or mobile based internet is heavily controlled. Try on a computer or a laptop. Yeah. The skin could have been iridescent like a hummingbird. Absolutely. I think it was. They were known as the glowing ones for a reason. Um, changes color when it moved. Yeah, they're like the apostles from the Berserk series. Interesting. I'm gonna look that up right now just to see what you're talking about. Um, apostles Berserk. Well, those are absolutely terrifying. Those are some monstrous looking creatures. Wow. I think I'm gonna have to look into this Berserk. I think there's a lot of antediluvian stuff in there, isn't there? But it's an absolutely psychedelic manga from what I'm seeing here. An absolutely terrifyingly psychedelic manga. Yeah, these apostles. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to do another video on this. And maybe once I make the Venom video about the Nephilim connection to Venom character from the Spider-Man universe, I'll go into Berserk. But I don't know if I have time to watch all of Berserk or read all the manga. I really don't think I have the time. That's the issue, I'll have to do a quick, like, just a quick study to see what I can get. Um, but the artwork's incredible for Berserk. I already know this. I've seen snippets of it already. It's very detailed. It's quite amazing actually. The depth they've gone into, um, the talent gone into that one. Yeah, that's certainly something interesting. Anyway, back to where we were to with the chat vibes. How many people here have family that think they're crazy? I wouldn't even try to explain the clown Nephilim connection to mine. Yeah, even I don't bring it up that often. Um, Today we have big lips and posterior, but also clown-like. Yeah, I'll never understand the whole injecting your lips with collagen thing. It's not a vibe. It's not a look to me. It looks ridiculous. It looks unhuman, and it gives me that uncanny valley vibe. I don't like it. Like it freaks me out a little bit, to be honest. They use kohl on the eyes, which makes the eyes look bigger and slit-like. So my phone's popping off there. I've just got to make sure that's nothing important. Just a weather update. More rain. Lovely. And it looks like the Telegram group has things being posted. I won't tell you what's just been said on there. You can go find out for yourself by joining the group. There you go. And my mum didn't believe it was just for beautifying because she said, what or who were they emulating? I wish she was still alive. She didn't have any degrees, but was smarter than most people. Good. That's excellent. False idol worship, yeah. Yorkshire Rose. Is that Yorkshire Rose YouTube lady? I'm not sure what that's about. Open minds only. Me as well. I can't talk to anyone about anything. I know it's very lonely. Yeah, I understand that, Amy. When I created this channel, its main goal, its mission statement, should I say, was to understand the conspiracy, obviously, as a holistic image, and to help those who have found it to deal with it, or ways to cope with knowing it. Because it is a very isolating, lonely journey that you end up having to go on. Um, it's a very paradigm shifting, terrifying thing, It can be scary. Um, and you can easily lose yourself and your mind and end up losing all your friends and family as you try to save them, You can come across looking manic, and it's not a good look, and it's very easily done. I'm not judging people who get like that. My hope is that people who have just come, if I can get big enough, the people who have just come to discover the truth can find my advice first before they go out there and destroy and burn every bridge around them, inadvertently, accidentally. Um, there are ways to deal with this information, in order to cope healthily with it and still have a good life, a productive life. A lot of people can lose themselves to it to the point where it's detrimental. It's not actually useful for them to know these things. It's actually made their life 10 times worse. Because it's volatile stuff. The truth is a weapon. It's you've got to be delicate with it. It has to be handled with care, and loneliness, unfortunately, is just one of the major byproducts of knowing something that the majority of the world doesn't. And it doesn't make us special in a way. This isn't like a we're better than other people because we know something that they don't. It's more like a, how would you describe it? Like we all we want to do is try and help other people to see it because it's important on a level that is hard to explain. It's a trippy concept, isn't it? I mean, because the unfortunate thing is, as much as we want to help wake people up, what can people really do? It's kind of, the whole ignorance is bliss statement. I don't think anyone understands that better than people like us. Um, People who have learned the truth about the world, and have realized it's all kind of controlled and following a narrative. And there are people in this world with nefarious agendas at play. It's so big though that no individual can really stop it. So knowing it, as fun and as useful and freeing it is for your soul and your mind, um, when you first discover it, it's also very isolating and scary and terrifying because we can't really change it. There's kind of a plan that has to unfold here, and God has a plan too, and we're just within it now. But we're just aware it's happening now. Maybe it was better when we didn't know. you I don't know. I'm speculating. I'm riffing on the idea here, but I suppose building a strong community is the best way to help deal with these things. And as lonely as you can feel now, you will make new friends who understand by building a community that's strong here. Um, it can feel like in your immediate surroundings, like there is nobody who knows or cares or wants to listen. But as we have proved here in our live chats and these talks, there are hundreds of people, thousands even, who do know and may actually not be that far away from you. I encourage people, even though meeting people on the internet is a dangerous, weird thing, tentatively and carefully reach out and attempt to connect with people. Carefully, okay? You'll build friendships and eventually get to know people if you communicate regularly, who you maybe could trust to have a video chat with. And then once you've become accustomed to that, maybe you could meet at an allocated location that is not close to either of your homes, at an outside city or something, and risk that. And you could build friendships and relationships from these things. It's kind of like a church in a way. This it's a place for like-minded believers to come together and commune with other believers. Obviously, I am a Christian myself, but and I don't want to make this like a cult. It's not a church. Knowing these things is not something to create a religion out of. Although the Gnostics would have you believe otherwise. know. Um, but like I said, it's scary and isolating, and it can get lonely. I do understand. Um, so I don't know. Join the Telegram. Join my Telegram and let's talk with each other. Um, and sometimes, unfortunately, the harsh truth is it may be best just to bite your tongue and get on with life, keep your head down with your immediate friends and family about this stuff, and just not bother them with it, just to give yourself a peaceful life. And if you really want to save people, start with the city over, the next city over, where people don't know you. Start with the internet, where you can save people who aren't in your immediate circles. Um, it will make your life a lot easier, I would say. All you can do is make people around you immediately aware that you know this type of stuff, but leave it at that. Don't push it. if they one day decide that they want to know, and that's what it really takes at the end of the day, an individual has to want to know, then they'll remember and they'll come to you first. But you aren't going to convince them by pushing stuff on them. That's just a sad fact of it all, really. Um, it's a bit of advice there. Yeah, that I went off on one there. Okay. Um, Winds of Change says, "Yep, I'm crazy, but I've been down the rabbit hole for 30 years." They are like, "What are you talking about?" Laugh, laugh, laugh. My oldest is awake and left the military over the poke and lots of stories. Yeah. Every time I hear about an alien encounter, I yell at the screen, "There's no aliens, only demons." Yeah. Yorkshire Rose. I'm just a Brit living in Canada under Trudeau madness. I think you're on the Telegram, Yorkshire Rose, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah. The Skyline Gang, says my wife. Yep. I've mentioned the Skyline Gang. Modern cartoons and games don't even attempt to hide the demonic influence anymore. They don't. No, it's blatantly obvious now, actually. It's getting kind of creepy. Um, the world just embraces it in a way. They don't even have to be subtle. The original multicolored collective, though, to be honest. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. I was very nearly ejected. What branch was your boy? Never heard of the Skyline Gang. I hadn't even heard of the Skyline Gang until I went to this place. It's very isolated. That one thing. It feels like everybody, like you, got a glimpse of the truth from God. You about the clowns, Mr. E about. Together we can find the truth. I guess so. Yeah, everyone's got their own thing, haven't they? And that was mine. Um, we're all working together at the end of the day. Only what as people, we all only have time to do so much each. You know. And it seems like the clown thing is my thing. I didn't. It's not what I planned with my life, but it's where I've ended up. I'm convinced Trudeau's father is Fidel Castro. I've heard that one before. The dog is called Rainbow. Okay, well, that makes sense. The world is in the grip of puppets with no souls. I'm glad I have the great captain steering my personal ship. Yeah. The alphabet rainbow has 6 colours. God's rainbow is depicted with 7 colours. Yes, I have seen that before. Yeah. Indigo is missing. That's right. Replaced with black in the multicolored collective flag. I think I'm almost caught with the chats. I think. Nope, it all just jumped all over the place. I am all over the place. I can't. A huge chunk has just randomly loaded that I was missing. And now I have no idea where I am. Okay, here I am. Which colour is missing? Indigo, yep. Um, Indigo Children is a whole other rabbit hole. It is, yeah. Maybe I should talk. I think that'll be a remember episode, actually. Do you remember the Indigo Children? Because I remember that. That's old, that one. How old are those kids now? Those Indigo Children have got to be 30 now. Um, a lot of ritual humiliation going on. Yep. Billy Butlins was a Freemason. Was he? I can believe that. I can believe that. I'll have to look into that. But after being there, I can see the influence for sure. Um, the Joker 2 is coming out next year. Interesting. We're talking about deployment there. Glad I made the love tonight. Great show, Paul. Good night, everyone. Says I see it now. Good night. Have a good sleep. I will be soon enough. Paul, the movie you mentioned on the Sabbath at midnight has a sequel now. Clown, 2014 Clown. Does it? Was that the one I mentioned on that? I don't know. I mentioned a lot of films, but yeah. Let me know in the chat what film it is. I've always liked reptiles. I loved dinosaurs as a girl and read absolutely everything I could about them. I was disappointed to learn they didn't really exist. Lol. That was a tough one too. I used to love it also as a child. Children love that kind of stuff. Everyone's saying bye to I see it now. Why is there an ad just now? I get this on many live streams. YouTube put ads anywhere and everywhere. Even if you don't monetize a video, they'll still put ads on it. There's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. By the way, is the show still going to happen? Which show? Which show is going to happen? You have to remind me. YouTube is notorious for throttling creators' subs at a certain point. Yeah, yeah, I do feel like I'm at that point, to be honest. And I've had a lot of people's comments removed as well from my channel, and I've had all sorts of funny stuff going on that doesn't add up. Second Ezra's 6:42 says there was less water. Right. I'll make a note of that. Why are they all evoking the name of the Egyptian god Amun Ra? Yeah, trolls. The trolls get 3 cents for each comment they post. Interesting. I didn't know about babies' skulls. I thought it was just that soft spot. This is very malleable at that age. Yeah, yeah. It's all cartilage. Well, there's bone as well, but it's not as dense as an adult's bone. I'm way behind, but I feel you on the toddler thing, and I'm pregnant again. Oh, congratulations! Congrats on the MFTIC podcast. Mark is great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It should be good. He seems like a cool guy from my brief discussion with him so far. um, YouTube seems to be unsubscribing people and shadow banning all by itself. I can believe that. I really can. It just seemed odd for me to lose that many subscribers suddenly, all of a sudden. I haven't gone into the minus in a long time, and randomly last week, for 3 days straight, I did nothing but lose subscribers. I didn't gain any, and it's just that's never happened before in a long time. And I don't really understand why. I don't feel like I did anything to evoke that kind of reaction from people, but maybe I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I said something offensive or something that went against particular people's sensibilities. I don't know, but yeah, that was strange. I've been sub from creators, says Winds of Change. Yep. Keeps on subbing me from Days of Noah and TSS. Children really are such a blessing. They are. If you brought up thoughts on what it is or could be, they would call you racist. Yeah, they would. Yeah. Or they basically say, well, if you've got a demon shaped hole, that's all you're going to fit in there, isn't it? Your Christian worldview has narrowed your perspective. So, I get that one quite a lot as well. And it's kind of, I don't know. It's hard to explain to them how that's not true. From their perspective, it's hard for them to understand how that would not be true. Um, it's just, yeah, it's just funny. Honest question: how can I find some of your channels? It only gives me options to block or report when clicking on names or pictures. Yeah, you have to actually type in the channel and find their image. That's the only way to do it. If people comment it on the video itself, so not in the chat, but leave a comment down below in the actual chat comment section of the video, you can click on their name then and go straight to the channel. Berserk apostles take the form of humans but transform into demons. Interesting. Do you happen to research video games as well? The Japanese seem deeply immersed to the occult. Yeah, no, I have been highly aware of all of that my entire life. I used to be a huge gamer. Yeah, the Silent Hill series is a very good example of the occult merged in with video games from Japan. Absolutely. Um, what's Berserk? It's a Japanese comic. Yeah, Venom is a real. I think. Yeah, he's is a symbiote, so he's actually a form of black programmable matter or black goo, which comes from a demon god, which I'll go into in a video. But yeah, Venom is a quintessential Nephilim hybrid creature. I think I'm catching up with the chat now. I'm getting there. With great wisdom comes great grief. Yeah. Do you follow any of anonymous conservatives' writing? He is onto something with the internet silos theory. I've read about your internet silos theory. You mentioned it somewhere else recently, haven't you? I quickly, briefly scanned over your comments, and it said about people have been isolated into their own individual online silos, where they only see certain comments from certain people, and it's all orchestrated individually. What people are aware of. Um, I haven't read any of his works though. I could look into it though. Sounds interesting. Can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep. No. I don't try to explain anything to anyone. I've lost friends over the trans issue. I guess I'm the crazy one for thinking that it's wrong to mutilate children. Well, yeah, you bigot. What's scary is how my Christian friends think I'm the crazy one for bringing up scripture, Genesis 6 in particular, as well as your research, Paul. I no longer bring it up. Yeah, it's a tough one, you know. I think there are a lot of religious people in the world. Um, but that isn't to say that they're necessarily followers of the truth. Let's put it that way. Um, Making sure you connect with the Bible is key for believers talking to other believers. That is, I tell a little to my niece, just stuff alien related because it's all over the news now. Yeah. God's Kind says that's why I like the telegroups. I've met a few people in real life from there, and it helps me not to feel so alone. All my old friends think these subjects are crazy talk. Yeah. Um, Christianity is not meek in the modern sense, it is meek in the traditional sense. It is for hard men and women, legit. I'm not sure what you just said there. It takes a lot to be a Christian in this modern pagan world. I find Christians to be, and it just jumped away from me. Uh, I cannot catch up to this chat. It's getting away from me. It's getting away from me. Um, I find Christians to be the most bravest people. Well, that's nice. I don't say much here. I feel safer alone, but these truther sessions mean a lot to me. Help me get through the week. Oh, that's nice, Amelia. I'm glad you get some value from this. They hate you for it. Yes, people hate you for the truth. I'm convinced Jesus was akin to a warrior and not a hippie, as my modern Christian friends believe. Yeah, absolutely. Comprachicos. Comprachicos. Comprochicos. Check them out. They are a clown thing. Comprochicos. Let's have a look. Um. Okay. I don't know what I'm looking at exactly from immediate search. It's freak shows within circuses or something like that. Okay, I will look into that. Thanks for the tip. Let me get back to this. Archer, the leader of the Gorgonites, is wearing a necklace depicting a horned dragon. Interesting. You all remember him, the immortal enemy of the Powerpuff Girls? Very Joker-like, androgynous, absolutely. I do remember that, and he has a voice where it's a man and a woman speaking simultaneously. I've met a lot of people who claim to be indigo children, a lot of new age stuff there, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah, I know. I remember. I remember the indigo child rage when I was like 14, about 15 years ago here. 15, 16 years ago here. I remember hearing about all that kind of stuff. What's your opinion on Donald Marshall? I take it all with a pinch of salt, but it's interesting nonetheless. The cloning center topic is an interesting one, but I think I don't fully trust him. That's all I'll say. But I do think it's interesting. It's a fun. No, it's not fun. What he talks about is not fun at all. But in terms of my research, I take it on board as a possibility, but I don't necessarily hold that much weight to it in my day to day. Okay, but yeah, Donald Marshall, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to make of him. I watch him tentatively, just like I watch Richie the Barber tentatively. Um, we'll see. There is a consistently applied theme across modern media called the inverted hermeneutic, where they mirror the story of Jesus but reverse the morals. Yes, there's a lot of that going on. If I believe in God, do I have to be a Christian? Um, if you have done your research properly and you've looked into the one true God, you will end up becoming a follower of Christ. Yes. It's weird that they put ads during a live stream. It is. Um, sorry, guys. I'm just trying to find a nice way to sum up this chat as it gets away from me. So I'm skipping a lot of stuff now. Um, I was raised in a charismatic movement where they were taught supernatural things in the Bible. Makes it easy to believe that Nephilim look like clowns, and I can talk to some of my family about this stuff. Yeah, the charismatics were an interesting group. Definitely. I'm not sure about the whole speaking in tongues thing, but Derek Prince was a huge influence for me in teaching me about demonic warfare, and he was a charismatic too. Um, but again, I'm not too much into the denomination sect element of my faith. Um, as far as I'm concerned, something like this is my church. This is how I commune in a way. Churches themselves, to me, just are so detached from reality that I struggle to be a part of them. That isn't to say there aren't good churches out there. I just haven't found one yet, um, especially not in the UK. Are you sure YouTube hasn't deleted subscribers? A lot of YouTubers are having that problem. Oh, absolutely, they probably are. But I can't prove that, can I? Unfortunately. Um, talking about Jesus. That's good. It's not just a story, it's true. Yep. Do a vid on the black goo, please. Like I said, I'm working on a video now. I have the script written. I was about to record it, then my laptop broke. I've only just got a new one. I have all the images lost that I compiled ready for the video, but I am doing a video on the black goo and venom. It's in the works. It will be out eventually, hopefully next week, when I find some time to do it, maybe Monday and Tuesday. They're my work morning. I have those mornings to do work, so I might be able to get some of it sorted then. But yes, I will mention the black goo. Definitely, I'll do a decent, high quality video on all that. These people supposedly grew children to look like jesters, clowns for the elites. Mind Unveiled had a vid today about the comprachicos in Victor Hugo's novel The Man Who Laughs. Yeah, I talked about Victor Hugo's novel The Man Who Laughs with Steve Snyder from the Recluse podcast, and he explained all to me about the Glasgow Smile, I think it is, and yeah, all of that stuff. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to that. FTIC believes in aliens and co-stars on Channel Frequently on a panel with Kabbalists, technocrats, and a few Masons, and one that got booted for not paying his dues. Well, he can do all that. I don't have to. But if he wants to listen to about the Nephilim and the clowns, I'll tell him. It's up to him what he wants to make of it. Mary Smith and Truth. Hey, Paul. Hello, Mary. Fan of Knox. I'd be interested to see how the show goes with him. Yeah, we'll see. If he, he can. I trust the guy, but if he wants to ambush me in any way, I think I'm prepared to give him whatever answer he needs. I'm not looking for a fight. But I'll be able to defend myself if I need to. I was raised Catholic. I don't go to church, but I do study scripture and call myself a Christian. Not in the modern sense, but in the sense of believing in Christ as my saviour. That's me exactly, yeah. You have a teddy bear on your back. I do, yeah. Jeffrey. I remember seeing something similar to your internet silo theory years ago where people called it Island of Ideas. Thank you, VMore. I appreciate that. Um, Here's something I just discovered. For the last hour, I've had you playing on YouTube via Roku, and I'm using the chat from my phone. 3 times in the past hour, ads have played in your stream on YouTube, but not on Roku. Interesting. Start a 4chan thread on silos, and it will be 404'd instantly. Maybe I'll give that a test. The interesting thing is that clowns were created through weird surgery, etc., by the comprachicos. Thought it fit well in your series. It does, Alex. Thanks for sharing. I will look into that. Comprachicos means child buyers in Spanish. Speaking in tongues was always weird to me, and I no longer believe in it. I thank God that I was never able to do it. They were trying hard to get me to do it. Would love to have a poll on subscribers' religious background. I could do a poll. I could to see where my subscriber base lands. Certainly, I think it would be majority Christian, but I do think I probably have maybe 30 to 40% New Age Gnostic or atheist, probably, and it'd be mixed within that blend. I do find I attract initially a lot of Gnostic people, but then they very quickly have a conversation with me and then disappear. That's usually what happens. Not always, but usually. Would love to have a poll on subscribers. Yep. I think the New Testament is clear on tongues. It's very clearly defined and is a gift from the Holy Spirit. The charismatic movements are not at all in line with that. Love you, brother. Be well, says David Kane. Oh, thank you very much. Right, guys, I've caught up with the chat. Um, I think I'm gonna have to call it a night. I've been going for quite a while, 2 hours, 17 minutes. It's been fun talking to you all, as usual. Let me just quickly check the dashboard here so I can get some info on the stream. We've had 50 viewers right now, which is amazing. It seems like we've been going strong all the way through. I've managed to maintain a steady 50 people average, which is great. Yeah, it's been a good show. I've enjoyed it. We're going to wrap it up now. I will say join the Telegram group if you haven't already. Links down below. I want to thank all the new patrons I've gained this past month. It's been wonderful. I think I've gained about $30 in patrons, which is great. I hope you're enjoying all the extra content on there and the extra video every Friday and the tips for truthers series I do on there as well. If you guys want to support me, the best way is to go through Patreon. That would be wonderful. I think it's $5 a month minimum is the floor to get access to everything, but you can donate more if you want to. If you guys are still interested in supporting the GoFundMe for the book, you can go onto the GoFundMe and donate there. Any donation gets your name in the book as a special thank you, but £100 or $125 ish, maybe $130 these days or more, will get you a free signed copy of the book once published as well. So that's something extra for you guys there if you're interested. If you don't know, this is to me, the people in the chat. I now have for $2 a month, you can be a member of the channel on YouTube. It doesn't get you access to any extra videos or anything, but it does get you access to special stickers and membership stickers. And maybe I can then, if I have enough, do a members only chat and things like that. But that is an option. But like I said, the best way is Patreon. Drunk Wedding Photographer. Thank you, Paul. Once I book my next client, I'll be contributing to your book, says Drunk. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks for the donation. That's amazing. Honestly, that's wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, like I said, as I said, $125 or more, free signed copy of the book. But any amount gets you a mention anyway and a thank you. Everyone's saying, "Have a great night, Paul. Good night, everyone." Yeah, everyone's saying goodbye. Wonderful. Peace be with you, chat. Like, share, and subscribe. That's right. Right, guys, I'm going to call it a night there. I don't think I have anything else extra to say. I'll try and get some more videos out this week. Random ones of me chatting to the camera. But I do want to get a decent one out as well for the Nephilim Clown series, as usual. I'm going to aim for Wednesday. Tuesday, I will be talking with Mark Steves for the My Family Thinks I'm Crazy podcast. I'll be busy then. And I'm working on getting some extra guests on the channel to have a chat as well. So that'll be coming soon. But we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for listening. And as always, God bless.